Welcome to episode 50 of the Seekers of the Eternal podcast. I'm your host, visual artist Pale Horse, and today I'm joined by our guest, Andrea Calderón Raincloud, sacred medicine keeper and spiritual Kuraka from Colombia of the Sumak Kawsay Tradition. Andrea has been hosting sacred fire and medicine ceremonies for over 15 years, often joined by her husband and medicine chief, Santiago Andrade. Together, they are well known for their sacred chants to the plant medicine of Awakolla, also known as San Pedro. With this being the 50th episode, it is here at this point that the overall theme and foundation of this podcast has now revealed itself. And I've titled this foundation, The Power of Great Stories. This theme is also harmonizing with the visual art that I'm being called to work with. Great stories transcend time and space and have the power to help expand our consciousness, allowing us to feel and to remember on a deep level that goes beyond the intellectual mind. In this episode, Andrea shares with us, for the first time publicly, her personal stories of discovery, devotion, and healing, going far beyond what we might think is possible for a human body to endure. Andrea takes us on a journey into the depths of her training and initiation. We learn about the perseverance and dedication it takes to prepare oneself mentally, physically, and spiritually to serve as a trusted sacred medicine keeper and spiritual Kuraka in the Sumak Kawsay tradition. In the second half of this great story, Andrea shares her remarkable first-hand account of how she met a spiritual magos, or magician, known as Brother Eduardo, whose treatment and renowned healing abilities instantly released her from an incredibly painful disorder that had her in and out of hospitals and bound to a wheelchair for over 4 years. Recording this podcast together was an incredibly powerful experience for both Andrea and I know that many of you will benefit from these words as well as the healing vibration behind the words. These stories are being shared here for the first time publicly to expand and inspire minds and to bring a message of hope and healing for all and to those who may need it the most. In the notes of this podcast, there is a WhatsApp number listed for those who feel called to get in touch for more information. There is also a listing of some upcoming opportunities here in the summer of 2024 to participate in healing ceremonies with both Andrea and Brother Eduardo, who travel regularly to the Tampa and Miami, Florida areas to share their gifts. Please open your heart to the powerful stories that you are about to hear, as they will likely blow your mind and expand your consciousness.
Seekers of the Eternal podcast, the power of great stories.
Andrea Calderón Raincloud, so nice to have you.
Thank you, Chris. I'm really grateful for this sacred time and space that is opening here with everyone that is going to listen to us through all this time. It feels the right time, and yes, I'm very open and grateful that we can have this conversation today.
Yeah, I'm very happy that you're able to join. Andrea's joining us from Colombia, and this is one of the early podcasts that she is recording. So I'm really happy to be able to be learning so much more about you. I've had the opportunity to sit in ceremony with you a couple of times over the past years, and I got so much out of those ceremony experiences. And this is a great opportunity for me to be able to hear more about you and get to connect with you in this way. So I'm really happy that you're here to have this conversation together. We're going to be speaking about a friend of yours also as well that you're going to be sharing with the listeners here. That is going to be, I think, a wonderful treat for people to learn about this. This is something that oftentimes most people in the world never get to hear stories like this or get to learn about these ancient traditions that are available, and perhaps some listening may even be able to make use of the healing traditions that are available here and may really make a big difference in your life. So we're really looking forward to being able to share. And I would love to, before we get into talking about Eduardo, I would love to hear your story just in how you first became interested or really knew that you wanted to take on this path. You are a sacred medicine keeper and spiritual Kuraka in the Sumak Kawsay tradition. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing these correctly. And it's a tradition that you've been helping to keep alive and to share with us here. We're in Florida, and I feel so fortunate to be able to participate in these ancient traditions and people like you who are keeping them alive and bringing this kind of medicine and healing. I know I've personally gotten so much out of these kind of ceremonies. It's helped lead me to my spiritual path, and so many people are getting so much out of the work that you're doing. And so I would love to hear that spark of really when it was that you decided that this is what you wanted to do with your life, and perhaps some of the initiation process that it takes to become someone who serves this medicine and is able to hold space for the participants that come. So I think I would just love to hear a little bit about that.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I'm going back in my own memory to see when that first time, when that connection, that awakening, that consciousness that we all have, that ancestral path that we all have, because we all have our own ancestors and our own lineage, our agreements in how we arrive to this life and the purpose of our life. And I definitely was working with people that were very close to death, from my own family and from patients of my father, my mother. And that's, I will say, the moment when I began to have that devotion or that search, that moment of knowledge also that calls for your life to be at service in other ways. I began very early in my own path, like around 13, visiting with some anthropologists, visiting the Sierra Nevada here in Colombia, and our family, our Kogi family, but also a place that is called Tierra Adentro, with the indigenous tribes there, where I stayed for around 5 to 6 months. And that's when my experience began, not only with the medicine and spiritual family and that call to the ancestral lineage of who I was, of my own territory first, but always with my heart a lot in the North and in North American families. So our family, Sumak Kawsay, I arrived after when I was 20, 21 years old, when I began my path with the sacred fire and with this lineage of elders. And this is praying Kaik tribes from Ecuador. We hold vision, quest, and sundance. Our family, it's already like a lot of the families. It's a mixture already of all this story of humanity, right? How all of our families are. So we do have alliance with the tribes of the North and the North American native tribes. And our chanupas, our instruments, are connected to that family. But we take care and we guard altars from the south, from the Andean cosmology of the Sumak Kawsay, which means living at plenitude. That's what that word means. And so when I met that path, everything else on that magical realm that I was experiencing, all the mystical experiences, all the awakening when we are, teenagers, and all of our own education, how how that affects our life and how we all approach our spirituality, and that call for our family, for our relations, meeting this path of tradition, of indigenous world, of these old ancient religions of the world, going back to the history before of all the sacred fires. We always find that traditions and indigenous people have taken care of our world in many ways, and in energy and spiritual way, and in all of our relations, honoring our nature and being at service for those spirits, for the fire and for the four sacred spirits that hold our life. I met this family, and then I began my own path. We, as people of tradition, have different initiations that involve vision quest, that involve fasting for periods of long times, that involve immersing in that world also, of the rituality and the sacred rituality of our elders and of our families. And in that path, I met and I did 7, 9, 13 days at the mountain. Then I waited a little bit. I went through a lot, and then more adult. Not so long ago, maybe like 5, 6 years ago, I did 17 days on the mountain in one of our main altars. And that's part of our initiation, to be able to receive the alliances and the experience. This path is a path that we walk and that we experience, that we live, that we have to live ourselves. And of course, we propose some of the rituals and some, it's immersion in our own consciousness, healing first for each one of us, because we all need to first clear and heal so we can be at peace and be good workers, or try to be good tools for our humanity, aligning our purpose. Sometimes, when you go the first time to a mountain, you definitely plant yourself there in that solitude with all your fears, with all your thoughts, which is a lot, with all the things that we think are our problems. And then 2 days after that, being so thirsty and really dying a little bit there, then everything comes so important and so humble also at the same time. So we face the 4 directions, and we do this vision quest where we go through the 4 doors, the 4 directions, the east, the west, the south, and the north, walking different prayers and resolving our life, and then being witnesses, all the others that are supporting, being witnesses that after those years, you might be someone that is more that can have some trust with others, that you can trust, because you know that person has been there and has done this offering of life and these relations there. We also, for being medicine people, we have to sun dance at least 6 years in our family, and that involves very old rituals from the Tree of Life, that we do blood offerings and we do fastings, but then dancing around the Tree of Life. And we also spirit dance at least for years after all of these agreements and other rituals. It's a lot of initiation. We can be doing initiation all of our life, but we definitely have to go through a traditional way of the community to acknowledge that you are a person that people will be able to trust, and that you have clarity, most of all, with the purpose of what your life is going to be when you begin this red road, and this road like this, the commitment and the way of life. This is more our way of life. It's not a doctrine or a dogma. It is our way of life, to pray for freedom of humanity, and for the knowledge that we all have when we go back to our ancestors. So I will say, that's been more or less the path. And right now we are in USA. We have our church. It's the first Andean cosmology church, and that's our dream too. So we can work in a transparent way, and we always say it's good to have all of our leaders and even our government. We fight so much with the government, but it's so good to have everyone in a good agreement, knowing that we are praying, that we are doing and educating again our spirit, our life in a good way for our people, for our purpose.
Thank you for sharing that. And for those who really, if you didn't catch that, she's saying that, what was it, 17 days sitting in the mountains, no drinking, no eating, and just going through, sitting with your own thoughts, going through all of this ceremony, this initiation, to be able to override your need for food, your need for drinking, and this way of being able to hold space. Because if you're holding space and ceremony for all of these energies that come to be with you, it just seems, I think about the work that goes into being able to hold space for people that come with all of their energies and all of their healing that they need. You have to have somebody who is able to have gone through the darkness and is not afraid, and has gone to the darkest depths of what's possible in a human being. So I thank you for sharing that story. I love hearing about, there's so many people that call themselves shamans or people that work with medicine, but there's such a difference between those who have actually worked in the true traditions and have gone through these initiations to be able to hold space. And it's so comforting to know that there's people like you that are doing this work and then bringing it to us, bringing it here to people in North America to be able to experience these things. I feel so fortunate to have been able to sit with you in ceremony and with others who have done this as well. I didn't even know that would be a possibility for someone like me to be able to participate in these traditions, and the healing that can take place. There's no limit to what can happen, and it can go far beyond what you think is possible. The more open that you are to these types of healing work, the more open you are. There's really no limit to what can happen. I'm a great example of someone. I was a atheist, metalhead, skateboarder. I really had no interest in spiritual things when I in college and younger and things like that. I really had a real chip on my shoulder about anything religious, and it was the medicine and it was these experiences, the real true experiences, that really show you what's possible and give you glimpses of who you really are, that goes beyond the fringe of the thinking mind. And when you can be
Exactly.
with someone like that has done this kind of work, it's like it can change you on such deep levels. And I'm so grateful to have been changed and to now be on this path spiritually as well.
And people think that, yeah, sometimes there's a lot of people that feel disconnected with the word shaman. It's only for the Siberians. I always say that. All the teachers of the universe, all the masters of the religions, all the deities that humanity, like serious, like in a serious spiritual path, they have all fasted in a mountain. They have all abstained themselves from having water and food, at least for days and for nights, which is the beginning. For some of us, it's something that it's impossible even in the mind to think that a human person can be without food or water for 4 whole days and whole nights. And we plant in our family, a lot of people every year, and everyone comes down, and this makes you go beyond your limitation. And it's a very old ritual that humanity in all parts of the world has done to be able again to align their purpose. The first time you go up the mountain, probably you have no clue of what's the purpose, and some people are very sick, some people are very lost, some people are just very curious on what's going to happen there. But clearing all of your relations and going through difficulty with your mind and with the understanding of the energy of what is your mind and our mind, our mental state, which is everything also from spirit. Now we speak a lot about heart, but I really always pray about our mind, because that's where we are all the time, where our thoughts are, that's where we are. And all the initiations, people like you and me that are not born in the indigenous world, that we feel so far away from traditions, all this rituality that we are trying to recover, because there's a lot of course, of the history of the colonization, where in the most of our families, in the four directions, they vanished, a lot of the memories. There in Ecuador, we don't even have an idiom or they speak Quechua, which is when the Incas come, and we are talking about Raincloud tribes that had their own language through all of that part of America. So doing rituals like this, which are at the same time very simple but very profound and changes everyone's life, because all of the things you think that are really a problem and all of your systems in your head definitely go back to going back to our Mother Earth and saying, and being in the best place that you can be, and entering that spirit realm where you again connect to your purpose and who you are and why are you here, for what is that we have experienced, everything that we have lived until then, and try to connect again to all of that nature, understanding that we're never alone, and being able to again raise good leaders, because our family prays so people can really want to go to a mountain to align to their own life, not to us or to our family or to our names, but to that spirit of the mountain that really knows about your life, and to be able to pray for that humbleness in our life, which opens all the greatness of each one of us, right? To go to those spaces. So yes, initiations are I'm glad that we speak about this, because we want people to be very curious about this, so we've been taught all of our lives and our education that we should be even scared of the darkness. We have so many judgments, and we have so many ideas, and part of all of these, to be able to even feel well about our life, means to sometimes unlearn a lot about what we have been told. So we have to tell all other stories of our families and remember them, not being scared of even of our dead ones and the relations and our own limitations. And that's why rituality and tradition has definitely changed, of course, not only my life, but all the life of humanity itself, where we are all going back to those ways of life. In everything that we do, we all go back to that same memory at one point or another. Difficulty helps, of course. Sickness helps. Lack of hope, when people are really in like the worst situations, sometimes they arrive to people like us, or to traditional ways, to people that can work with other energies to have a hope, or to have a possibility to arrive to a medicine that can change you, because we all know that everything is connected, and that healing, is not only to go to, if you are sick of your liver, you have to go to the liver specialist. If you are sick of your stomach, you go to, so everything has a specific way now. But before, we just used, right, to have one medicine for all the family, just one plant, all the cosmovision around one plant, and heal absolutely everything. Just meeting one big spirit through all of our life, similar to the great medicines, like the ayahuasca, the Awakolla, sacred peyote and all the plant medicines that we've been able to do a relation as humanity and our teachers, which is that nature and their lives for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for saying all that and for sharing that.
Yeah, I know that's a ceremony has done for me. It's given me this sort of mischievous curiosity about learning how to do things that are hard and really almost just getting to a place where if something is frightful to me, I like to now go head first into that and learn how to get over it. Is the more that we can get over fears, in my practice of Kriya Yoga and meditation, we talk a lot about overcoming your likes and dislikes, your desires and your aversions. And ceremony helps you practice that. You know, at first you do an all-night ceremony, even if you're not used to staying up all night, that can be difficult. I noticed
It
that.
is difficult, yes, for a
Yeah.
lot of people. We
Yeah.
become so weak sometimes in society in those ways.
Mm-hmm.
Before there will not be like any, not even depression, because people will be so busy, because you will be so active in our body and our energy and so present all the time. And our fears call us to ceremony, and they move, when we shake in the first ceremonies that we go, we shake a lot. People that go to ayahuasca and that have approached these ceremonials, our body really knows. I always say the body cannot lie. So all of everything that we think we are, medicine can definitely move it in such a special way, so we can accept also and look at all of those fears. Our grandfathers in our tradition, we always pray to the spirits that come when we have fear, and we say we want to look at those spirits not being scared, but more with respect, so we can understand about those energies. They have told us, about all the images of our own nature and how it has all changed also with religion ways also, without any judgment. I'll just say it's just part of stories that we've heard. We have a way of classifying the energies as bad or good, and in tradition that's the first teaching. They always say, it's not bad or good, it's not the darkness or the light, it's that sacred duality of your father and your mother, and that's very, very different, and that changes everything in our life, in how we approach in any of these situations, right? When we are scared, we are really grateful, because we are told that something is going on. Our energies tell us, okay, pay attention to this. You are feeling very strange, or you don't feel well with this situation, this relation, this specific something that is happening in our life, and we are scared about it. And that's something that we have forgotten how to listen to and how to act on it. And when we change that to some respect, then we pay attention and our awareness wakes up. And if we are not scared, we never realize about things that we need to move, that we need to change in our life. And we pray, because they're really good spirits in terms of that, and they really help us, all of those energies in our life. And sometimes the difficulty, as I say, so we can approach again our spirituality and think once again, what is our purpose here of life, and what are we doing with our time? So yeah, that's very. I agree completely with what you were speaking, and all these opposites and all these energies.
Yeah, those dark
in that
things
way.
that we face in the psychedelic experience. I feel like it's given me so much practice for life, because in that experience you get to come up against it. And say in like the Buddhist tradition, oftentimes you see these, a lot of the deities are scary monsters with teeth and ferocity. And it's so much like that experience you can have in ceremony, where you're coming up against something that is scaring you, and it feels like the worst thing that you could possibly be experiencing it. But if you realize that the things that come to us in life, even any situation that I face in life, it's I'm realizing ceremony has taught me that when something difficult is happening in life, that this is actually a blessing. This is actually something that I should be grateful for, because every time we go through something difficult, we look back and we're like, man, who I was before that. Like, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And ceremony lets you
Exactly.
go in and have tough experiences, but you know
Where
that
your
you
mind
come out
was, where your
better.
mind was. Yeah, in
Mhm.
that moment, your mind takes you to places that, and then we say it's not me. Like when we have our family, when they drink, or with addictions, and then they say it's not me, and then we go to a ceremony and confront a lot of our things, and we think it's not part of us. Uh, I was remembering this, the Tibetan, the Book of the Dead, and how in one moment, we experience that, which is very similar to a medicine ceremony, where you can experience part of that, where all of the things, or that darkness. I don't like to call darkness, because I really love the darkness, and it's very like a word that, but we speak like that because we have this understanding of something that is dark, that we don't want to see, or that we are not ready to see. But we're definitely ready when that happens. That's why it happens.
True.
That we can see even all of those demons, or what people call demons, or evil things, which is only energies. Is energies. Everything is energies. We cannot forget that we are here to do a basic, school of energy, of understanding that everything is energy, even that we think that, and we fight so much with material, but everything is energy, composed by the same energy, and understanding how spirit and how energy moves in our body, how it can everything change if we are able to do it and to accept it. And sometimes much easier than going through a lot of difficult ceremonials, or a very difficult life. And all of that can change sometimes with that good distribution and understanding of our own energy in our life.
I like
Yes.
what you said about we are always ready for it when it comes to us. That means that you
We
you are
are.
ready. You are ready for that. I find myself now saying, "Thank you, Divine Mother, for thinking that I was capable of handling that." You know.
Of course, it's your I always say it's your vision. Sometimes they ask me, what am I going to do with all this? Why this all happened? They are doing. I'm saying, it's your vision. It's made for you.
Mm,
You actually created all of this, and exactly all the situation
mm,
as we speak, to experience exactly that in that moment. And I trust completely that process in terms of tradition, rituality, sacred rituality, in the way that we are being safe, in a good altar, where the family can take care of you, and the ancestors and the lineage of that altar can bring thousands of years of tradition and deities that have been worked with that. And then when you go through those experiences, it's made for you. You created all of that for that. But it will be a good healing for sure. Even if
mm,
you end up upset, or really thinking that you don't understand that experience, you're definitely ready for that. And sometimes we like it to make it very intense, or sometimes people are very, very sober and really they need that.
mm,
It's so strange how the energy works with the medicine. People can, I always say, it's not about the amount, or about how we do this. It's the quality of energy, and who, and all the how we are like channeling. We are all doing that. We have all these words now that make us feel so special, but everyone is channeling all the time their own creation. And in indigenous world and tradition, we just go back to very simple ways. That's the best way to take care of us.
mm, mm,
Always remember our father and mother in those places of weirdness and strange and intensity and visions and just experiencing all kind of things, emotional, and going back to a simple way of understanding where we are, and that brings us always to a humble and better space in us, in our lives, so we can solve our relations here with more simplicity, which is our job. It's sometimes people say we are medicine people. We are going to give medicine so people can experience and get out of this world and open their third, their fourth, fifth eye, everything. And I always say we do completely the opposite. We always pray so people can land, so people can be aware of their present, of what they have been given, so people can be grateful for their families, take more time with their parents, take more time to resolve, like today. Like if we die today, I always say, we have to resolve so we can die and be not a problem for our family and just be well on this day, like today. And sometimes our work is to do that so we can connect again as children of this earth that we are, made of materia, of flesh, and being really grateful for that possibility, because we're praying a lot with that spirit of the earth, of being that, being in a body, being in that limitation, also, but that possibility of all possibilities too, in our bodies. Very interesting, all the experiences with our medicines, where they take us.
And it is so simple. That's what I get from it so much, is I just feel so much more connected to nature, so much more connected to my family and friends and the people that we got to share the experience with, and just recognizing that we all want the same thing. We all want to be happy. We all want to heal. And we all are learning to just learn how to be in this world, and to be able to be there for each other. So if we go through these hard things on purpose and we learn how to become stronger, we can be there for our friends. It's so nice from all of these experiences that I've had now, and now when a friend needs me, I can be there for him, no matter what, no matter how dark it is for them at the time, no matter how far scared or afraid of whatever is happening. It doesn't bother me at all anymore. I can be there for them, and I don't run away from things like that anymore. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to learn, and we can all learn how to do that and be able to be better, just praying to be a better friend, better husband, better son, better all of the things. And the ceremony is so simple. I love the way that you create the altar with the flowers. Everybody brings flowers as a symbol of their intentions. And then the way that your team spreads the flowers and creates the altar there, I think is so beautiful. And then music is a big part of the ceremony that you do as well. And it is very simple. The water drum, if people aren't familiar with the water drum, maybe we'll play a little music at the end here so that people could experience that a little bit. Myself, as a meditator and someone who loves to practice concentration and focus, that constant drumbeat was so transformative for me, because it was like I could just focus at the spiritual eye and just go, 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 go. Every time you hit the drumbeat, it's like you feel it. It's a little bit of this combination for me. It was almost like there's this little bit of a fear of sort of how far you're going. It's almost like you're traveling so far, far, far beyond what you thought you could go, but the drum beat just keeps you going, and then you focus. And then I was able to just to settle into it, and for hours just focus and keep going. And over time, it just felt like healing and just taking away all of this pain and disturbances and tension and things like that were just wearing away, until I just felt so light and beautiful. Going through that experience with the music is so great. And I came home and put on more of your music and just kept focusing on it. So it probably first, when people hear it, it may be a little tough for you, but I would say,
yes, of course,
hold on, keep going with it. This music can be very, very powerful if you stick with it.
very, very strong vibration. This the water drum. Um, it's exactly that. The energies and the vibration of the drum. The stories of the drum are so they are amazing. They're beautiful. They're very romantic also in that way, because that drum is all the universe tied up there. It's the water of the ocean. It's the magnetism of our moon and the galaxies. It's all the movement of the water inside. It has some shells from the sea, and that energy that spirals. It's an energy that spirals, and it also has the hide of a deer or an elk that is breathing still, because it breathes water, it drinks water, that drum. And it's the only instrument, I will say, in the whole world that tunes up, to each person, to each vibration. So when a person, and it acts in a very specific way, liberating energies, like a sword of light, you get all of this intense galloping rhythm, which is very, very sacred rhythm. And a lot of the stories of the drum speak about the vibration of the heart before we are born. When we first are born, we have a very high speed heart, and it gallops through this rhythm. And then also it's the same rhythm when we die, when we are going to die. It's very, very similar. And it's that same vibration that enters the body and our memory and activates all that, and also releases, because that's the way that we work. We work a lot with our sacred music. We don't sing these songs every day. That way we can call specific energies in that moment. For even some rituals, it's forbidden, or not forbidden, just like not recommended, right? To use these energies for a specific moment, because they are very different type of songs. But the water drum and the rattle together, it's the whole vibration of creation. The rattle goes and follows the heart, and the heart follows the rattle. And that's the masculine and the feminine energy in each one of the instruments. The womb of the sea, and then that staff that is pulsating all the time, life. And that's a vibration that, for healing and for releasing all kinds of energies, for liberating energies, it's amazing, and it works in a very technical way. And of course, there's a very different ways for families, to tie up this drum. This instrument is tied up for every single ceremonial or purpose. And sometimes even when we honor the dead ones, we put some charcoals inside. There's many different ways. This drum comes from the north, but I will just say this now that I remember. They always think that the people of the south, and the ones that we do ceremonials here, from the Andean world, or from the south in general, that we brought the peyote drum from North America. And actually, the ceremony here, also the altars that we have, they have same half moon as the same crescent moon that the North American people pray, the tribes, and also has a water drum with the same water inside, rainwater inside, or seawater, but they have like a shell on top. So it's that old kind of drum where you put the shell on top, and it's like a cuenco, and then the vibration of the water will work, so it's the same energy, right? The same energies. In Mexico, they also have this type of drums, but of course the peyote drum, in the modern way of looking at it, it's amazing. It's an amazing instrument. It's already done. It has all the same, and in sound, of course, it vibrates much more than the old drums that we will find here in the South. But yes, just that instrument, it's like a lot of lives understanding all of the little details of that altar, the first altars in the tradition of the North, and here in the South too, were done in that drum. So they will do the fire in that drum, and then they give the water in that same same pot, same calderon,
Mm-hmm.
and that same womb of creation where everything goes together. That's the same space where we all go in any of our ceremonies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the first time that I experienced that drum was in a Native American ceremony, and I loved it so much. And then and when I got to sit with you, and then I was like, wow, this is so similar to that ceremony that I did with the Native American tribe, and it was beautiful. I was happy to see that those two similarities with the type of music, the peyote and the Awakolla
Very
ceremonies that you
similar.
do.
They're like cousins.
Mm, so cool. Thank you for sharing that. The drum is amazing. I'm sure we could talk about all the different symbolism of that too for a long time. And another angle that we wanted to speak about tonight. I know you have a friend that we are going to be talking about named Eduardo, and this is a healer that I've not experienced. I've sat in ceremony. He was in one of the ceremonies that we got to sit in together. So I've sat in ceremony with him, but I have not experienced his healing traditions. I've had friends and I've heard some stories. And this is something that I'm super curious about and very much looking forward to hearing. And I know that you got to firsthand experience healing on another level. And I would love to hear about your story about how you came into contact with Eduardo and your experience with his tradition and how that helped you in your life.
Well, yes, thank you for opening space to speak about brother Eduardo. He changed my life, and I was very closed about speaking about this. I will say this. I have never shared directly this question in this way, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm very open to do it because I think with the way that with what I work, right, how my life is, and how this can be an opening of the mind for others, I am definitely now open to share my own testimony of how I met this person. His name is Eduardo Caballero, and he's very well known. His name here in Colombia, they call him here Brother Eduardo. This is a name that the people, the community have given to him. He's someone very disciplined from the plains of Colombia, which has a very, very a lot of stories of sacred magos, sacred wizards, or spiritual doctors here in that part of Colombia. And I was not at all familiar with any of this work, with someone that is related to release entities, to liberate addictions, change states of mind, and have testimonies in such a strong way. It completely changed my mind. I didn't believe that it was possible for someone human to be able to release energies and to work with someone in this way. And of course, already being a medicine woman, I had my own experience and my own way to arrive to him. And now, after my own experience, we have helped and changed thousands of lives also through my own work. So I'm very grateful for that experience, but it's something that, of course, moved my life a lot. I started after a prayer just outside. I started having a pain in my body, and a lot of different situations around. I will say a lot of different things happening in a very specific way, but very painful in my body. So painful that I had to go to hospital and stay months, in a lot of different places. It was very painful. I had I will say, and now with complete certain, I had like what we call an energy work, right? And I experienced something that even that I work in spirit, I didn't believe in that moment that it would be possible for me to have something like that. But I had all kinds of weird and very difficult symptoms where I had to even I was pumping fentanyl, like morphine, like in my own body, so I could cease the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so strong that I even had to call emergency room so they could help me extra from everything, from the top of the top, that I was putting myself in all these medications and still have all these experiences and all this pain, which was very, very difficult. I was in a wheelchair for more than 4 years with the help of my husband, of Santiago, which is also our medicine chief and Kuraka, and trying to get all this kind of help in all kinds of things. I went through all kinds of treatments, shamans, healers, exorcists, all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I did know that this was something very strange. I had a lot of inflammations and weird inflammations from one moment to another. And of course, doctors were lost. I have a family of doctors. I was in a very good place here in Bogota, and they studied a lot about the Awakolla and all of that. They couldn't find anything that appeared that it was happening for this kind of pain. They even treat me as psychiatric, of course, at the end, because they had no idea what I had. And this started happening from one day to another. I had very difficult time and different inflammations in my face, like from one moment to another, or I will fall down to the floor. Just very intense and weird situations.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very difficult. I really wanted to die in one moment. And I think I will have yes, I was asking and crying for someone to put me in a coma. I was in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the jungle. I went to my Kofan family here, traditional people that I trust, that I know that they work with all of this, because it is a reality. For the Latin people that are hearing us, I know that is a reality. And a lot of, people that come closer, not from any specific status, not from any specific situation, but everyone in general has had a case of energy work related to their homes, to their families, because it's something that is very normal.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Colombia, it's something of daily life, and it is something very real that people can come closer. I met Eduardo after a dream that I had, and a whole kind of visions that I had during that last week, and I was already without hope, not looking for anything else, but feeling very weird and saying, am I going to stay like this? Is this really going to be how it just felt strange? I didn't believe that my life was just going to be like that. And I had a very strong dream, and a friend called me and she said, I'm going to go to see this guy that he's very famous here in Colombia. And he made one of my friends threw up some soil and some things. And I was like, that's not true. That cannot be real. There's no way that that will happen. Where are you going to go? Don't go by yourself. I want to go with you. And let's see where are you going? My friend was very depressed, medicated, and she was going through a very tough time. And she wanted to try something different. This person had a very good background. So I was sent to a lot of different people, even by the doctors, but they were very dark, and they looked very dark and very, very strange. Brother Eduardo wears a doctor, like a doctor coat, and he was very serious, but very friendly in the end, and more tranquil, like a consultation with a doctor. And I met this person, and he said to me, okay, you have this, you have this, you have this pain in these parts of your body. This is happening. I didn't even say my story to him. I just said my name, and he just saw me, and he told me everything. And he said he needed to go and release something. in a specific place and location. And that's it. I said, in the end, I said to my husband, I said, okay, I just need to do this. I think I have faith. I saw people, and this is probably something that creates a lot of controversy, but I saw a lot of people materializing animals and colors, substances, soil, a lot of animals, different things, when he did what we call an extraction, and him being inside of his room without touching anyone or doing anything to anyone, people even in the distant cases like that. So this all, of course, was very shocking for me in the first day.
And that's
My
through
mind
like
couldn't believe that.
like a purging of that energy. It becomes
Yes,
materializes.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
Materializes that energy into a
yeah,
physical.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They will make it physical.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that we call, it's materialization of the energies. So in different ways, not necessarily if you have some energy work, but if somebody is very sick or if somebody has something specific in their body, or we're giving something specific in their body, then that will materialize in a very specific way and you will see it. And it's something that we are not used to as humans. We think that this is something fake. And I was one of those persons, but this changed my mind completely. And then I understood all the possibilities that we had, and the possibilities of relations also with the spiritual world and with our own energy. Because for example, he performs liberations. He's a liberator, so he doesn't do energy work, so he's like a witch or something like that. And I will say that word because that's how some people will relate to someone like this. He's what we call a liberator, and he's someone very bright, and he only liberates energies. That's his specialties. So some people, when we have a priest that it's an exorcist, it's called an exorcist. He's very similar to something like one of these religious personalities, right? But he's not a priest, but he is an exorcist and liberator, and he can liberate energies of different ways, different kinds of things. I have thousands of testimonies, like amazing things. And in my case, I was really wanting to die, like on a wheelchair, and I could walk like the next day. I could sleep. Wow. And I could have this feeling that I had inside that was so difficult and so sad. I had like a very difficult energy that I will carry all the time, and that I could definitely identify that something was with me all the time. Very difficult, and a lot of weight also sometimes in my body that I will fall down. I felt like I had like 20 people on top of me at some moments. It was very difficult. And all of these sensations were out. And he didn't even go there like personally, he sends someone, and also he does like astral work and astral operations. It is an operation, and he will do this and change people's mind and situations. He will improve, sometimes not heal completely, because it depends, right, on destiny and a lot of things. But he can change all kinds of addiction situations, people that are very depressed. Of course, energy works and liberation of supernatural entities in the houses, improvement of like memory or aggression, for example, in the children. I've seen amazing cases with children that cannot even go to school, that were like running away, that will hit their parents all the time, that were very violent, like extremely violent. I remember a little kid that couldn't even hug the mother. That's how he was, like very rebelde. really difficult. They couldn't even take him to school. And he went to the liberation with all these adults just there, standing in the fire. And after 2 prayers with Eduardo, he began playing with his hands and with him. And then he said, oh, that spirit, that bad spirit is gone. And then he hugged his mother.
Oh.
His mother was shocked. She was like crying and doing all this. And the kid just like changed completely. And this was only just like an energy that stayed with him from the mother, from inside, before he was even born, from an energy that from people that didn't want that baby probably to be born, and just energy, because everything is energy or spirit, you can call it many ways. And
Wow.
and the changes are incredible. Someone listened, recovered their power to listen, and they arrived with this dispositivos on their, so that he couldn't see me when I said, everyone please open your eyes, like after the liberation. And this guy he made such a face, like he was in shock. And then I knew, oh my God, he is listening again. He's hearing me.
Mm-hmm.
And he began crying, and he completely recovered, like that possibility. And that was one of the most amazing things I've seen, in terms of his work. But it's someone that can materialize energies to be released, always with a good change. And every single liberation of him will affect life in a lot of different ways. So a lot of people look for him just to release energies of life in general, and to have the possibility of new energies, which we also do. We also work like that. Probably we will need more than one ceremony for sure to do something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And he creates processes, like in 10 minutes or less, where people have amazing changes. He can work with 20, 30, 40 people at the same time in a very different parts of places of the world. And everyone will have an experience of his operation. And when COVID, for example, we treated a lot of people by distance. And that was something amazing, because it was a possibility that before I wouldn't even imagine. And, there's a lot of people that say that do healings by distance. And I believe we all have the power to do it, Even Brother Eduardo says all the time, we can all do this, we can all be able to do this. But definitely it's not the same. It's not this is someone that has a gift, I always say it's something also that comes with us in the chemistry of our own mind and how we move energy. Mm-hmm. And he has that gift, like medium. He used to be like a ghostbuster before. That's part of his story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's someone that has been also persecuted a lot, because a lot of people will look for him. So he has to be very private, and he's someone like that also.
It makes me think
he was
like
kidnapped in our country. Yes.
Yeah, like we could all, like we all we could all learn how to do math, but there really is only a small amount of astrophysicists that can really do it to this level. And somebody like that's just gifted so much in that way. Your story really, to me, it brings such a hope, like hope to people.
Yes.
Like you were so far, like just feeling like there's nothing that you could do. And it also reminds me, it makes me think about that you are somebody that's gone through these initiations, putting yourself through the deepest, darkest, most difficult things that you could possibly go through. And now you've gone through this one that is even, nobody goes through an initiation that long. But
yes, and these processes of energies are, I mean, people will not imagine, but there's so many things in our life that are very difficult, and they all come from that spiritual part, where energies enter our bodies when we are, for example, very sad, and when without hope completely. In those moments where we really, I will say, in Spanish, I will say, se rompe el alma, like we break a little bit our spirit, those moments when we go to that deepness, that's very delicate energy. So then a lot of the things that are negative and a lot of the things that feed from that energy can really harm you, can really touch your life. There's a lot of the sicknesses that are without a diagnosis that are classified as fibromyalgia, or like one of these unknown diseases, autoimmune, of course, that's the only way to say it sometimes. And then after a liberation, I will say some of them will still be a sickness, but people will improve their quality of life and everything. But in 80% of the times, people can change their life and their health immediately, almost immediately. And that's something that I will say it applies, like working, of course, in this spiritual world and physical healing. I will say it will be more than 80% of the time. What we have, we can treat it energetically, and people can definitely heal from a lot of the things that we think that is not like that. We've treated a lot of cancers and a lot of diagnosis of very, very serious illnesses, and at least sicknesses can stop being even that they say very aggressive. You have months. I've seen stop completely sicknesses, and if not, at least the process to be liberating the mind and the moment, so that person can enter a very conscious and beautiful way of leading with their sickness, because we also know that sickness is a path of knowledge, and that it's not because we did or because the guilt of this or because, but it is also part of our agreements in many ways to do all this, right?
Yeah, and I think for people hearing this, maybe if you haven't ever heard of stories like this, or if your mind hasn't been open to these kinds of things, I know for me, I've been learning more and more about spiritual healing and doing a lot of practice. I do nightly, every morning and every evening, I send healing prayers to friends, and I always am doing that. And in a meditation group, showing other people that you can bless your friends, fill yourself with energy, fill yourself with love and with bliss,
with
light, and see your friends smiling. If you can see your friends smiling back at you, you can send them energy. And I have people I didn't even tell that I was doing this to, and they would call me on the phone. It's like, I saw your face smiling at me and sending energy. Is that we can all learn how to do this. And I think we're moving more and more into this place where this is becoming more of the reality of the world we live in. I think the way that the medicine that we're used to, the way that we go to doctors and all this, I think it's changing in this age that we're in, and I think it's going to be rapidly changing. And hearing about someone like this is just who is one of the best at this in the world. And people do have opportunity to be able to work with Brother Eduardo, right? I know he does come with you here. We're here in Florida, in the Tampa area. I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast here live in Florida as well. So if this is something that someone's hearing this, or maybe they know a friend who might be interested in something like this, it is a possibility to be able to connect with Eduardo. Is that right?
Yes, actually, I accessed, and this is being just very honest with everyone that is listening, because for me it's very important, and for us, the community, it's very important that, as you say, people that have no hope and people that need a specific person like this. I took years sometimes to arrive to someone that could really help me like this, can listen to this and say, okay, this case really really deserves that opportunity. It's really a good opportunity. Brother Eduardo will be in Florida on the 7th and 8th in Tampa, and then the 10th and 11th in Miami.
And that's in June or?
That's in June, exactly. And
it's June.
most,
yeah.
What people don't know is that, of course, people don't know he's really famous here and all of that, and that can give him a good name. But most than that, I want people to understand that here in Colombia, people will line up blocks to visit him, to have a consultation with him. He will give little papers with numbers and attend, say, 50, 60 people, and that's it, because it's a lot. He will begin working at 4 a.m. People will arrive at 12 in the night, at 1 a.m. to line up to have their spot. I had to do that. I had to arrive in the car, put my little seat there so I could sit there at 1 a.m. so I could be one of the first ones to enter. And he doesn't even treat people like the liberations that he performs and the exorcisms, which is only that. What an exorcism means, it's liberating and releasing energies. Because a lot of people and a lot of us have a lot of judgment with that word, right? But that's what it means. It just liberates energies and negative energies of all kinds. He will never do that procedure in person here in Colombia. He will do everything by distance. And he really loves Florida a lot. He likes that land a lot. And it's the only place wherever he travels, because he will travel to other places of the world, just like one day do a work and then go back. But it's the only place where he's going to be doing the liberations presential, people will really have the liberation there for them. So it's something very unique that doesn't happen anywhere. And I take the time to share about all of this information, which is also, I know, very polemic and very delicate, but it's something very real. And me, in my own path and devotion for my own tradition, is the only person that I work with as part of the service of what I was given. And because I know it's an alternative to people that, for example, are never going to go to a medicine ceremony, and that, of course, we can help in some part, but this person can really change things that are usually impossible or very, very difficult, like addictions. He can change someone's mind of depression also, and have an amazing change immediately. Also with children, with the undiagnosed, of course, any kind of undiagnosed sickness, changes of love, those people that are really having a hard time all the time. And it's like, if there's something going on, everything goes really, really wrong. Of course, entities in the houses, spiritual, of course, spiritual energies and witchcraft and releasing, Santeria, voodoo, all kinds of that stuff, which is also important because my community is not related so much with these other communities. But definitely when you have someone with this specialty arriving to another place, someone that is neutral, that is not involved with those same families, is also a huge hope for a lot of people that can receive that liberation. And that's why I'm taking the time to share all of this today, because I really look forward to bring cases that are meant to be for this person to change. And I know now, like after my experience, that all of the things that we experience have also a time. So we could have tried other things, or we could have experienced other different things. A lot of the people that are going to see him are probably going to move energy after today, or even before already. The people that will have liberation with him will have experiences or intensity of things happening before 1 or 2 weeks before he arrives, even a month before. And this is a pattern because I've recorded and followed testimonies, and you have a lot of experiences and things move, sometimes stronger, sometimes you just have a lot of dreams and visions. And so sometimes the time is coming for a lot of those spirits to be liberated.
Mm-hmm.
And through our
Yeah.
work and through our communication, well, we will have the cases. We only have limited spots. We don't have like a lot of people that will be attended. It will be less than 40 people, more or less, for each city. And because of the time, of course, that he's going to be here. So yes, I really, I really call from my heart that we can get all the strong cases so they can receive a different view and a different help, and a change and new energy and a good release of negative energies and liberations and procedures with Brother Caballero, who I really respect. And as I say, I don't work with anyone, and in my own experience, I really support this work. I get a lot of different commentaries and polemic also, judgments from this work. But I think it's really worth to speak about that because,
Mm-hmm.
as you said, this world is changing. We now have a consciousness and we know how energies work in a different way. And this opens the mind and is very good medicine for everyone that is experiencing or that feels a call for something like this, of
Mm-hmm.
course.
Yeah, and I'll say too, with bringing you on to talk about this too. I've heard so many testimonials about this too as well. It's, of course, you're always skeptical when you hear about miracle healers and things, but overwhelmingly, this is the real deal, and it's
Yes.
such an opportunity. So if you're hearing this and you're feeling called to it, we'll put some of the information here in the notes and a way to contact if you would like to set up an appointment. And also, Eduardo does come regularly over every year or so, or every couple of years, or things like that. So you can get into contact and get on a mailing list. So when he's back in town, so if you're listening to this in the future, right now we're here in 2024.
Yes.
And
And
this is
he
in
can
June
do distant, he can do
through
distant
Zoom.
work.
Mm-hmm.
So we can have like a presential Zoom consultation, and people then can receive, as everyone here in Colombia does.
Mm-hmm.
I do liberation every 3 months, more or less. So because of my work, so he can release my energies, and that's the limpia that I receive. And every time I receive it from anywhere, and he's been working for more than almost 30 years already,
Wow.
like that,
Yeah.
in
What a
in
special
distance.
opportunity. So I love that, it's like sharing these kind of things, hearing your story, opening and giving people hope, because here in America, we don't have words for these type of things. Obviously, we all feel there's so many people that are suffering from depression, from energetic. It's like the energy within it manifests itself in the body as pains, and we give them all of these different names for what it is. But there's so many
Hmm.
people that are suffering, and we don't really have ways to talk about it or ways to talk about energy healing. And I love that this is becoming more and more normalized here in America. And so, yeah, we wanted to spread this message. So if you're hearing this, really look into this and check out the contact there below and see if this is something that you would like to use. And I think if you're hearing it and this is something that you're feeling called to, it is, like you were saying, its spirit has been working with you to get to the point where somehow you found this podcast, you're hearing this, it's leading you towards your healing that you were always supposed to have. And you just take that step, and the more that you open yourself up to the possibility of it, because it's also you are also the medicine first. You have to also be open to receiving what is available to you. So that, I think that is a big part of it as well, is opening your mind, opening your heart to new possibilities, and being able to receive what's available to you. And learning that you can then also learn how to be such an energy vibration for your friends and send good energy to everybody. Like you said, we're always channeling something or another. We're always we can be channels of calmness, or we can be channels of agitation. And so we're just learning how to heal ourselves so that we can heal others as well. And so, yeah, I love that we're able to share this and get more exposure for these types of things that most people don't think are real and available. So thank you so much for sharing those stories. And I know that's something that's difficult to talk about. Thank you for sharing the vulnerable stories there. For the first time here with everyone. I know a lot of people will get a lot out of that, and perhaps there's people listening who are in pain that they've been in for a long time too, but there is hope
Yes.
for you. It won't last forever. You can move past these things, and there are things that are available to you that you didn't know before maybe you heard this conversation.
Exactly, Chris. Your words are very precise, and I really appreciate everyone that's been listening and how you contact this intimate space in this moment. And I really call for that for those cases and those people that really need a help like this. And it may sound, like you do like an interview and you are trying to call the people for this and that. This person really doesn't need to work. Like, he has a lot of work and a lot of people. And I honestly do this opening and speak about this because I really want the cases that need him, the people that are going to resonate and that are desperate because of their family, because of their friend, because of their child, because of their own way of being through a lot of time. Some of us get used to our sicknesses. Some of us are diagnosed a lot of years ago with something. A lot of the people that have mental illness or that they were diagnosed with paranoia, schizophrenia, and all these things. And then sometimes a liberation like this can change completely that. And here we are, like the energy, how it's today and how it's going to reach everyone. And in my devotion to this work, because it's fascinating also the way to understand about energies and spiritual world. It's my life completely. And now being able to be like a bridge for people, so they can reach this service. That's what I want. So I want the people that have all those difficulty, of course, pain. I say for myself, of course, pain is one of the things that's so difficult in life. It makes you very, very sad and very bitter. It's very difficult to live with pain, to be able to enjoy when you have so much pain. And heaviness in many ways. So of course we are very welcome. I'm always welcome to give a follow up and like a good word or like guidance to meet him and to prepare them for the consultation. The consultation is very short, but then the work, it will talk for itself. Like we say, it's only testimonial, and you will leave it and leave it through all that next month after your liberation. It's not only that changes a physical aspect, but that changes the vibration of our life. And if we understand about awakening, we are creators of everything. And if our vibration is able to change and we can receive such a gift like that, then everything changes immediately and it moves to the right place. We then understand all of what happened there. And we see all the amazing changes and possibilities of our life. The same as when we meet our grandfather fire and we change our life with the medicine and with the altars. And we know that the fire can change all of our energies and all of our cells in one day when our mind is ready and we know that it can do it. So yes, thank you so much for opening space and for touching my heart to my own testimony and being able to share these words and this feeling with everyone that is listening to us and that can come closer to our community and to our ways and for a good healing and a good peaceful life and relations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. I know so many people got so much out of that, and I'll also include information for if you'd ever like to maybe one day get to sit with Andrea for a ceremony and to
of course we
feel
will have
called to
ceremony
this.
that Sunday. That Sunday that he's coming,
Mm-hmm.
we will have a daytime temazcal. with our medicine of the Awakolla here in Tampa, in Lutz, Tampa.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And we're going to have a Temazcal daytime. That's on that Sunday 9th. Also for everyone, if you want to come to that ceremony, of course, please reach me out or Chris, and we'll give you that information and location of our ceremonial, our ritual.
Oh, well, blessings. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Thanks for everyone for listening. As always, I like to end with just some words from my guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. This is something that I read today that I just wanted to share as we end. And blessings to everyone. And we'll see you again next time. These are words from Yogananda. He says, learn to saturate yourself with God. Your trials may be great, but your greatest enemy is yourself. You are immortal. Your trials are mortal. They are changeable, but you are unchangeable. You can unleash the eternal powers and shatter your trials. Om, peace. Amen. Joy to you, friends.
Gracias. Amen. Thank you so much, Chris. Beautiful night.
Gracias.